Welcome to the live stream. I almost said Money in the Morning. That's my live show on the radio. This is Be the Boss of Your Money. Just so much content, right? Oh, the biggest problem, right? Such problems to create so much content that you mix up the name of your various shows. I know. I'm so cool. I know. But seriously, suicidal thoughts coming about from these new magical weight loss drugs. Now, we don't know what it is. It's reports of one drug that's not made by Eli Lilly, that's not made by Novo Nordisk, but it is in a similar class of GLPs of these drugs that help people lose weight. In other words, you shed pounds, you're not hungry. How easy is it to lose weight if you're never hungry? That's the beauty of these drugs. So you literally starve yourself without realizing you're starving. But they're effective and they're approved originally for people with diabetes, people with a body mass index above 30, people who are facing substantial health problems because of obesity. But these drugs have become rather popular, and defining obesity has become more of a sportsman game. And, it's just if you want the drug, if you want to lose the weight and you want to use the drug, you'll say you're obese, you'll say you have a health problem, you'll figure it out, you'll doctor shop, what have you. Not knocking people who are on it who need the drug, by the way. I'm not knocking that at all. While you're watching, if you have a question, I see you out there, Renee. Thank you. If you have a question about something we're talking about, hit me up in the comments. I love hearing from you. It's the best part about the show. And if you don't mind, give me a thumbs up or a heart, and whatever reaction is available to you, depending if you're watching on Facebook, on LinkedIn, what have you. Renee is out there. Renee, Mitch, busy summer and have missed you. I miss you too. Thank you very much. I did notice your presence was not here. I did not feel your aura, but your aura is back, and I am grateful to you. You definitely add such value to my financial world. I'm here to listen. Oh, hold on. Oh, right there. You got me. God bless. God bless you. Okay, thank you very much, Renee. So let me throw up the banner. Let me throw in the introduction. We're going to talk about why the market went up today. It's because the inflation numbers are coming out tomorrow, and the street is expecting inflation to be in the 3% range. That's pretty darn good, considering inflation went from about 10 to the threes. It's really good. It's not too far outside of the Fed's target of 2%. So here's the intro. We're going to go over a couple of stocks. We'll be in, we'll be out. And hey, ask a question in the comments if you'd like. We're just throwing your favorite emoji. My favorite emoji is the smiley face, the emoji face with the glasses. You can see why, and I'll be right back. Here we go. All right, so we're talking about a couple of key stocks in the market. I'm just going. No, that's not what I want to do. Put myself in the corner. That's what I want to do. Okay, so this is the how the major stocks traded. All right, the first one here is Eli Lilly. Okay, and the stock was down just about $14 a share today, down a little over 3%. So from 469 of its high, it's now at 439. Not a huge amount considering how much the stock is up as of late. But this is why the stock got knocked down. So, so excuse me. Lesson to be learned. Okay. A valuation to me is not a good way to make a direction call. If a stock is overvalued, it has to go down. If a stock is undervalued, it has to go up. No, siree. I think it's a little different. High price stocks could keep going. And often that's the case. The winners in the stock market are usually the high price stocks that keep going higher until there's enough of a reason to justify their performance, and it just sucks in more and more people. The real problem with a highly valued or overvalued stock is not so much making a direction call, it's when there actually is bad news. High valued stocks tend to react much more harshly. They're much more, the impact is greater on them. Whereas low valuation stocks are often value traps. They're low value. Let me say that again. Low value stocks are often value traps. Just because they're down doesn't mean they're worth buying. Something that's cheap is usually cheap for a reason. You really have to be pretty spot on with your forecast to buy a cheap stock, because you, of all people, are the one and only person who sees something positive about the company. You see a positive development in the future that no one else sees. But when there is bad news, they don't react that badly. The impact isn't so harsh. And that's one of the reasons why some people like value stocks, because when bad news comes out, they are already down. But with a high valued stock, a high flyer, when they do get hit because of some kind of bad news, they react in a much more harsh way. They go down more. And that's the case with Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk. Both stocks were down a little over 3%. Novo was down about 4.8%. I'm sorry, about $5 a share, down 3%. Okay, on the day. So those had an impact on the healthcare stocks, and it sent a shudder through the market. Now, I remember the last really popular class of weight loss drugs. I forget the name of them. This is like a long time ago. This was in the 90s. There were two very popular weight loss drugs, maybe three, but they wound up causing heart conditions. And it wasn't just like a rarity. I'm not saying it was common, but people were actually had got heart damage from these drugs, and they were dying. People were dying of massive heart attacks, and the drugs were pulled from the market, and the lawsuits went on for years. That is always the ultimate nightmare for owning a drug stock, especially two drug stocks that are so richly valued because of a particular class of drugs that could be facing a problem. So if people are taking this class of drugs, these weight loss drugs, and you look back and say there've been a number of suicides, that could tie these companies up in litigation. The drugs could get pulled from the market. Now, just so you know, these drugs, this class of drugs, is considered the biggest blockbuster, biggest moneymaker that the pharmaceutical industry has seen since statins, since Lipitor came out. That's been what, 30, 40 years, okay, of statin drugs in the market. That's how big these drugs are, and that's how important they are to the drug industry. 2 out of every 5 adults in the US is considered obese. I don't know if it's 2 out of 5 or 3 out of 5, but most people are overweight. And these drugs really do work. I have personal friends who've tried them with great success. Some have kept the weight off when they stopped the drug, some gained the weight back, and then some. They're also very expensive to stay on these drugs. You're talking about $1,000 or more per month. They're just very expensive. More competitors are coming out with more products and more pathways with more or less the same technology, and that'll help drive prices down. But that's not going to be for a while. And maybe in a couple of years, we'll see generics hit the market. But this is going to take a while. In the meantime, the brand name manufacturers like Novo Nordisk and Lilly were expected to make many, many billions of dollars. So while I don't think that this is a death knell for the drugs, they might have to get an additional warning label. That one of the warnings could be thoughts of self-harm or being a Jets fan or suicide. Could be, I'm sorry, that was not cool. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. But that could be part of this whole thing. And maybe it makes the drugs harder to take. Fewer people want to take them. We'll see. And okay, so Renee, thank you. You're doing your due diligence here. Okay. So in the 90s, Renee says millions of Americans were prescribed the weight loss therapy popularly known as fen. Yes, fen-phen. I remember that same fen-phen was a combination of two diet drugs, Ponemin, fenfluramine, as it was commonly called, and phenamine, also called redox, dexfen, a chemical derivative of that, and it was increasingly prescribed. I looked it up to spell fen-phen correctly. You spelled fen-phen correctly. I feel like fen-phen is the name of a panda in the Washington, D.C. Zoo that is on loan from China. We have Ling Ling, Ping Ping, and Fen Fen. No, not that. That one didn't land either. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, anyway, so yeah, so these drugs do have weight loss drugs, not these particular new ones, but weight loss drugs have had a pretty bad history, and it was a long time ago, but sometimes these memories come back and you read all the stories of how these drugs were pulled from the market, and it was just a freaking disaster. So that helped pull the drug stocks down, but it didn't hurt the entire market because market was still up over 300 points, broke it down, couple multi-day down streak. NASDAQ up 75, SP up 29. You can't invest directly into an index, but you could invest in a security that tracks or mimics an index. My friend Jerry always makes fun of me for having to say that, and he actually says that to me now. Like people repeat that to me because they've memorized it from hearing me say it so loud. By the way, did you know that diversification is a strategy that we use to mitigate risk, but it doesn't necessarily protect your portfolio from going down in a generally down market? Yeah, I have to say this. But anyway, gold up a little, VIX down a little below 15. The 10-year yields have been coming down. The 10-year was over 4. So this brings up the next topic. The inflation figures. This is like the big news of the week, right? Inflation figures are coming out, consumer price index tomorrow. And they're expected to show inflation possibly below 4%, which, a 3 handle would be a pretty welcome sign for investors. If it's up in the mid 4s, I think we have a problem for stocks for a while, because it really tells you that not only is there a really good chance the Fed raises rates in July 26th, their next meeting, so that's in 15 days, that the next maybe 3 or 4 meetings could be hot. We're only thinking 1 or 2 more rate hikes. We could get, there's 4 more Fed meetings, so maybe we'll get a rate hike in each one of them. So that's not really factored in. Judging by how stocks traded today, I don't think investors are too worried about the inflation figures. Producer price index, that's like inflation for businesses. That comes out on Thursday. Thursday, we've got earnings from a couple of companies, but Friday, we have JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and Citigroup reporting earnings. And we're going to hear about them and what they've done to shore up their balance sheets. And, the big banks are just expected to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Let's talk about that real quick. I do see we have about 4,500 banks in the United States. No other country has that many banks, not in the developed world. And, we're probably going to consolidate those down to under 1,000 over the next years. I don't know if it's going to be 10 years or so, but that means a lot of takeovers, a lot of banks disappearing, possibly a lot more value being created in the regional bank space. So there are a number of ways to buy regional banks in terms of exchange traded funds that offer you a whole package of different bank stocks as opposed to trying to pick and choose individual stocks. We could talk about that. By the way, check me out. You can check me out at clientfirststrategy.com. Send me a DM, reach out to me if you want to take our conversation to a one-on-one basis and talk about how I could possibly help you with your investment financial plans and help you get ready for your financial goals. That is what you'd reach out to me for. If you have a service provider who you're happy with, stick with that person. If not, maybe you want to give me a call, try me out, and see what I have to say about how I could possibly help you, and ask me questions, okay? So the last thing I want to talk about, and I think this is significant because I've been talking to my kids about this. My kids are doing this, so this is really cool, okay? Teens with a summer job can capitalize on the greatest money-making asset, says an expert. This is Ed Schlott from Ed Schlott Tax. He's considered the He's like the national expert when it comes to anything regarding IRAs, and he's our own. He's a Long Island dude, also in Rockville Center. Uh, what they're talking about though is Roth IRAs. It really behooves your children, if you have teens working this summer, to put some money into a Roth IRA, and I'll tell you why. To get started, you can't just open up a Roth IRA for your kids. Friend of mine called me up. She has little ones at home, three beautiful little children, and she asked me, you know, she said, I'd like to open up Roth IRAs for all three of my kids. Okay, so she wants to open up Roth IRAs for all three of her kids, beautiful little children. She's a friend of mine, the mommy, and the dad. So good. But the point is, they have to have earned income, like W-2 income. Okay, they have to have income. You can't just say, "Well, I paid them, $1,000 to mow the lawn, and they're gonna flip that money into a Roth IRA." No, no, that doesn't count. It's got to be money that generates a W-2 that shows that taxes were paid on the income. Okay, and generally speaking, that's teenagers and up. A Roth IRA, what they do is they could invest that money in the Roth IRA. The money grows tax free, not just tax deferred, but tax free. Dividends and interest that get reinvested are not taxable, like they would be in a regular taxable account. And when they go to take the money out, all of that growth is tax free one day down the road. The biggest obstacle when I do the financial planning for people coming into my practice is that they think they have all this money and they've been so diligent at accumulating money in their 401k plan. They just put money into it. And then they're like, well, I thought I would have had more money, or my money should have lasted me longer in retirement. And the point is, because you've been putting money into a traditional 401k, about a third of it, maybe more, 40%, goes to taxes. And that's why you don't have as much money as you thought you did. But with a Roth IRA, you don't have that issue, and it will pay off big time down the road. And that's why I think this is such a good timely article to teach the youngins open up a Roth IRA. It's hard for a kid to get their mind around having this money invested for the next 40 plus years. But the sooner they start, the better off they are. And when a couple of years roll by, they learn to have the patience. And it's a really good way to help your children grow their wealth over time. Roth IRA for your teenagers, you can do it as long as they have earned income, and you can only put up to whatever their earned income was. So if a child earned $4,000, but the limit for a Roth IRA is $6,500, they can only put in $4,000. You can only put up to what you make. And that's about it. We're not talking about like spousal Roth IRAs. This is for your teens at home, okay? Thank you so much for watching. I'm signing off. I'll be back tomorrow. Can't believe how quickly this week is flying by already. Man, oh man, these weeks are just flying by. All right, I'll talk to you and have a great day.